Since I like going back and listening to my old thoughts, I'm currently in the process of re-uploading some of my older videos in order to make them more compliant with YouTube's policies on reused content. But since I didn't want to do a lot of editing, here is the audio from my original review for this movie.
Faced with an unplanned pregnancy and a lack of support, Autumn and her cousin travel across state lines to New York City on a fraught journey to get an abortion. An excursion that tests their friendship, their bravery, and their compassion. Now, I should state outright that I am not an authority figure on this subject. I'm just a guy. I will never be able to fully understand what a woman might go through when faced with an unintended pregnancy. But even though I can't personally relate to the subject matter, doesn't mean I can't tell that Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is an important film. One that I'm sure plenty of women will be able to identify with and relate to. And I should state that I'm not here to talk about whether or not Autumn's decision to get an abortion is right or wrong. I don't want to get into a moral, ethical debate. Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always is just a character study on one fictional character in a film. So that's what I'd like to focus on, the film. And as a film, the first thing I should say is that this is a very hard movie to watch. Director Eliza Hittman chose to tell a very personal and intimate tale with Autumn. The film follows her through every step of her medical procedure, and the results feel like a documentary that chronicles the real life of someone who is about to get an abortion. It is genuinely emotionally painful to watch certain scenes play out, as we are forced to be in the moment with Autumn. So many scenes linger on during this step-by-step process. It's almost as if Hittman wants you to feel as though you are the one who is about to get this procedure. It is unquestionably powerful filmmaking. However, it does make for a cringe-worthy experience. I don't know how many people will actively want to sit through a movie like this. I know film, as an artistic medium, shouldn't always need to be a pleasurable or easygoing experience, but without any moments of levity or lightheartedness to alleviate the heavy material, Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always just feels excruciatingly hard to sit through. It feels so heavy and so grounded and realistic that it will force you to feel uncomfortable, resulting in a movie experience that will feel like a drag. I thought the first half of the film lulled a lot, at least compared to the more emotionally resonating second half. The scene I will remember the most that doesn't have any sort of heavy-handed political statement attached involves Autumn playing tic-tac-toe with a chicken, because it has nothing to do with anything. And then there's Autumn herself. Sydney Flanagan does a pretty decent job leading this film, especially for her on-screen debut, but I do take some issue with Autumn as a character. I don't know anything about her. Autumn is a victim of circumstance, both literally and figuratively as a character within a film, because the movie doesn't spend any time developing her personality, so the audience never gets to know Autumn outside of her victimhood. Now, maybe the film just wanted to focus on this one moment in Autumn's life, and since she is a teenage girl, she probably doesn't even know what her own aspirations are anyway. I get that. But for me, that kind of diminishes the whole point of the movie being a personal story, since the only thing I can tell you about Autumn is that she's an average teenage girl who thinks things can be, yeah, cool or whatever. Plus, Autumn can kind of be rude. She can be mean to her own cousin when she is the only one supporting her throughout this journey. Now, maybe Autumn is just an emotionally distant character. I know a few people who can be as cold as she is. Or maybe the stress was just getting to Autumn at that point in the film, which is more than understandable. Or maybe Autumn's upbringing just causes her to act this way towards other people. But again, that assessment only paints Autumn to be a victim. And it doesn't help that we see Autumn be victimized by literally every single male person she ever comes in contact with. Boys from her school are rude to her and call her names. Her manager from work sexually harasses her. Her own father acts suspiciously callous. Perverted men on the subway pleasure themselves in front of her. And she has to watch a dorky New York boy force himself onto her own cousin. Now, I get it, men can be abusive. There are some incredibly scummy people out there, people that real women do have to interact with. But for a movie that is trying to ground itself in realism, I found it awfully unrealistic that every single guy in this film was portrayed to be an evil piece of shit. I hate saying shit like this, but it really just felt like the filmmakers involved had an anti-men agenda. Especially since the film isn't concerned with revealing to us who the father of Autumn's unborn child is. It could easily be any one of the assholes that I just listed. And I know that the baby daddy isn't important to the story being told here, but do you get what I mean when I say that all of these elements portray Autumn to be a mere victim and rob her of any actual characterization? If anything, I will say that Never Rarely Sometimes Always can be enlightening. It shows us the difficulty of going through a medical procedure through the current healthcare system. It shows us what it could be like to be a misinformed young girl with an unexpected pregnancy, and it shows us how cruel and disgusting the world can be at times, especially towards women. But as a film, I think Never Rarely Sometimes Always acts as a powerful statement, more so than an engaging narrative. The story being told here just becomes so overshadowed by the political message that are present in the film. I know I tried to avoid making this review as political as possible, but that was incredibly hard to do for a film that is so inherently politicized. This is a movie that is going to upset people. Arguments will spark between those who are pro-life and pro-choice, those who are feminists, and those who think feminism is just a politically correct SJW agenda against men, and those who consider themselves to be cinephiles against those who simply want to have a good time at the movies. It's inevitable. Whether the film takes a firm stance or not on some of the issues that it presents itself is up for debate. But what I do think is clear is that Never Rarely Sometimes Always wants to have a dialogue. It wants to engage its audience and make its viewers think, and I do commend it for that. The most important thing people can do is talk to one another. A teenage girl shouldn't feel the need to travel across state lines in order to get a medical procedure done, especially all on her own. She should be able to talk to her parents, and her parents should be able to hear her out and present her with healthier, more financially stable options. So if your child wants to talk to you about an important issue, listen to them. You should be able to talk with them, not at them. So Never Rarely Sometimes Always is an important film, or at the very least, it is a film with very important themes at its core. Themes that I'm sure will resonate with some, while sparking heated controversy with others. Whether or not these themes make for an actual good movie is up for debate. For me personally, I would likely give Never Rarely Sometimes Always 2 3/4 out of 5 stars. Thanks for watching.